Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm showing you everything's been added, changed and fixed in Minecraft Snapshot 24w11a. And so if you like Minecraft videos like this one, then please make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Minecraft update videos in the future. Now today's snapshot is a massive one because not only is there a new weapon, there is also a new drop for the breeze, there are 2 new armor trims, 2 new banner patterns, and also 3 new pottery sherds. So lots to take in for today's snapshot. So let's go over all of the new features in this snapshot. Also including some updates to the trial chamber structure as well, which is why we're in one right now. And so let's start with the mace. And to get into the mace, which is a new weapon I am holding here in my hand, we will need a few items. Because to craft a mace, you will need both a heavy core, which is a new item, or a new block actually, and also the breeze rod, which is a new item. So I have all 3 items here. So there's the mace, there's the breeze rod, and the heavy core. Now let's start with the heavy core over here. So the heavy core is a mysterious dense block which can be combined with a breeze rod to craft a new weapon which is called the mace. And so the heavy core will drop from one of these vaults inside of the trial chamber. So after you receive a trial key, you can open these vaults and they can contain this heavy core, which you can place down as a block. The sound is a little strange, but alright. This is the heavy core. It's a bit of a weird block because, as you can see, it is not a full block. It is, well, only 8 by 8 by 8, as you can see there. And you can place them on top of each other just like this. But they do look a little strange, almost the same size as player heads, I believe. Or exactly the same size. But they drop as one of the loot of this trial vault inside of the trial chambers. Along with some other new items, which you saw there for just a second. So, of course, that is just the heavy core. Then how do you get the breeze rod? Well, that is actually quite self-explanatory because they are dropped by the breeze. So, if you go into survival and then back into creative, we'll see some breezes generate here. Now, if you just grab a regular sword for now, we'll test out the mace later on. And kill this breeze over here. The breeze will drop between 1 and 2 breeze rods. So there we go. There it dropped 2 breeze rods. And so there's 2 functionalities for these breeze rods. So first of all, you can craft the mace out of it. So there's the breeze rod plus the heavy core equals a mace. So let's grab a crafting table and throw both in there. And you'll see that we can make a mace just like that. So that is one of the features of the breeze rod. The other one is something you might be wondering, because of course the previous drop of the breeze were the wind charges, which you can use to parkour and stuff like that. Well, it's a little different now. They drop the breeze rod, but you can craft the breeze rod into 4 wind charges. So this still gives you the ability to get 8 wind charges from a single breeze, which is quite a lot. And of course you can use them to jump very high by shooting them below you, or just by giving knockback to other entities. It's also possible. Then let's take a look at the mace. So the mace is a new heavy weapon to smash your enemies. And so what they say in the patch notes is you can leverage the weight of this new weapon to deal additional damage the farther you fall before hitting your target. So what this means is that if you jump off a very high height like this and then hit a mob with the mace, it will do a huge amount of damage. And so as you can see, well, of course, that slime doesn't have enough health, I suppose. But let's get this stray down there, which should have a little more health. There we go. So if we jump down from here and hit the stray with the mace, we kill it with just a single hit. But if we hit one of these strays with the mace regularly, of course, it doesn't kill it. So you can see that the further down you fall before you actually hit the mob, the more damage it will do. And there is something else that happens here as well. Because if you actually hit the mob, then you won't take any fall damage. And this also works for any entity in the game. So if you fall using the mace and hit an entity at the bottom of your fall, you won't take any fall damage. So let's quickly take a look at that. let's go up to the surface and see if I can make that work. Before that, maybe I should set my spawn point. Otherwise, this may go horribly wrong. And then let's go up to the surface and try to hit one of these pigs, for example. I will also set game rule, keep inventory true. There we go. So let's take a look and see if we can do this. So let's go into survival mode, fall into the pigs and hit them with our mace. And there we go, we did not take any fall damage. And you will also see the other feature of the mace. And that is that the mobs around the mob you hit will actually get a knocked back from the immense force of the mace. So that is how that works. Let's see if we can see that maybe one more time. Do we have another cluster of mobs somewhere? There's another cluster of pigs over here. So let's take a look and see if we can do that again. Let's go up here and try to hit one of the pigs. And then you will see the other ones flying if I can land this hit. Nope. Well, you saw it once at least. That's good enough for me. So let's give ourselves our night vision back. To 0 true. And let's move on. So, of course, the mace, just like any other weapon, will take durability damage. As you can see here, we've taken 1 durability because we hit 1 pig. Not a second pig, sadly. But you can repair the mace in the anvil. And to repair the mace, you will need to use breeze rods. So, as you can see, if we place down the anvil and then put the mace in there together with the breeze rods, we can repair the mace just like that using breeze rods. And they also mentioned, of course, you can use these in combination. So you can use both the wind charges and the mace at the same time. So you can then, of course, use the wind charge to jump up and then the mace to hit a mob afterwards. Which seems like an amazing combat feature. Alright. So that is the mace. I highly recommend going into the game, into the latest snapshot or Bedrock preview. And trying out this new weapon to see how you can use it in combat, because it actually feels quite nice to use. But alright, let's move on. So, there is a lot of new stuff here in the trial chambers. So first of all, there's new rooms, including this one I'm in right now. This is a new room. And they've also remade another room into... so yeah, they say they have made a slanted room and a pedestal room. This seems like a pedestal room right here. And what else has been added here in the trial chambers is that you will now be able to find both flow, guster and scrape pottery sherds inside of the decorated pots of this structure. And so those are 3 new pottery sherds. So you can see them on the pots here. So the items look something like this. So this is the flow pottery sherd. This is the guster pottery sherd and the scrape pottery sherd. And we can take a look at them on the pots here as well. So the X here is the scrape pottery sherd. This like swirl pattern is the flow pottery sherd. And finally this one with the breeze on it is the guster pottery sherd. So those are the 3 new pottery sherds you can find here in the trial chambers. Then trial spawners inside the trial chambers will now appear more frequently in the corridors. So we can take a look here as well to see them appearing in the corridors. So there's one right here, for example. And there's one, well, that's inside of a chamber actually. So you can see a few more here in the main corridor as well. But there aren't that many small corridors in this particular trial chamber. As you can see, most of them are just... Well, there's a long corridor here, but no trial spawners there. But there should be more trial spawners along those corridors, hopefully. Then, they've also changed the layout of the blocks around the vaults. So, around the vaults, you will now see these blocks right over here. So, that is both polished andesite and chiseled tough bricks. They will be spawned in a pattern around the vault like this. With more chiseled tough bricks in the middle there as well. Then, there were also some changes to the loot tables of the vaults, actually. So, you will now only get a single unstackable item per vault. So, if we grab a trial key and unlock this vault, we will only be able to get a single unstackable item. This is just to do with inventory management, which can be quite, well, difficult. And there we go, we can see we got a diamond axe in this case. With Smite 1, amazing. And, okay, there's just a single trial vault in this room. That's not that great. Let's go back up here. And take a look at one more. Here we go. And so again, we can see we will just get a single unstackable item, in this case an enchanted book. So that is how that now works. You will more often get rewards which can stack together, and they've removed both horse armor and saddles from the loot tail, so you no longer be able to get horse armor or saddles from the vaults. But what you will now be able to get are wind charges, as we saw before, but also the bolt and flow armor trims, which I have not covered yet. Then there's also the flow and guster banner patterns, and of course the heavy core, which we mentioned before. So those can all be ejected from the vaults now, which they were not able to do so previously. But let's actually take a look at those armor trims and banner patterns. So here on the right, this is the flow armor trim. So the flow armor trim looks like this. It's a purple one with, again, that swirl on the texture there. And so the armor looks something like this. This is the flow armor trim armor. And yeah, there's just lots of lines on this one, similar to the other armor trim actually, which is the bolt armor trim. It has this orange smithing template, and we can put this one on as well. And they are somewhat similar, but this one also has a few dots and some other lines, as you can see there. So that's the bolt armor trim. Then there's two new banner patterns as well. So those are guster and flow. So there's lots of flow. There's flow armor trim. There's the flow pottery sherd. And there's also the flow banner pattern. All with those swirls. Because this one on the left here is the flow banner pattern. That's what it looks like. Sort of a maze. Or a question mark maybe. And then the other one is the guster banner pattern. Which looks very similar to the guster pottery sherd. Which we saw before there. And it looks exactly like a breeze. So yeah, those are the new banner patterns and new armor trims. And these are also the new pottery sherds, which we saw before. Lots of new stuff already. So then there is also a few changes. So for example, status effect particle colors are no longer blended into a single particle color. So if you have multiple particle effects, we can simulate that by giving ourselves some effects. So let's give ourselves, let's say, fire resistance, like this. So see the fire resistance particles. Now if we give ourselves a different effect, like for example, a jump boost, which would give us green particles, we will now see both, well, not really green. We'll see both those yellow particles and the orange particles. So it just gives the different colors for all the different effects you have at that point in time. So we give ourselves speed. Now we see the blue particles as well. And so instead of blending into a single color, you will now see all the different colors of the particle effects you have at that moment. So that is how that now works. They've also reduced the frequency of these particles appearing, which is actually quite nice. Then they've updated the wolf armor crack textures. So let's take a quick look at that by getting a wolf in here with some wolf armor. And let's grab bone to tame the wolf. So, hello. Please be tamed. No. It's angry. There we go. And so now, sadly, we have to hit it a few times because otherwise we can't see the cracks. So this is what the cracks of the wolf armor now look like. Oh, that was too much. Okay, well, the texture change doesn't seem that big actually. But you can see there the cracks now on the side of the wolf armor appearing from bottom to top. There's the final stage. It's a lot more clear now that there's cracks than before. Then the menu background blur has been updated to look better and be more performant. So that is this menu background blur. That should perform better now, luckily. And then there's also a few technical changes. So the data pack version is now 35 and resource pack version is 29. So if you want to read through all the data pack updates, then I'll leave a link to the page notes in the description down below. And then, of course, there's also quite a few bug fixes in this snapshot as well. For example, the oldest one is leashing an iron golem breaks his pathfinding until reloading the world. So that should now be fixed. And there were also some bugs related to bees and wolves that have been fixed as well. But again, I'll leave the patterns in the description down below for you to read through all of these if you are interested. But anyway, there we go. That's everything's been added, changed, and fixed in Minecraft Snapshot 24w11a. The main features are the new Mace weapon, the breeze rod, the heavy core, the new armor trims, but also the new banner patterns, pottery sherds, and the updated trial chambers. So lots of new stuff to try out for yourself if you want in the latest snapshot and preview for better creation. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please subscribe!